Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a tool that has been used against people for ages, a technique used to break their spirits and to force them into the will of the leader. Today we're talking about shunning. Now, as far as religious context is concerned, shunning is a decision by the leader or by the congregation to take a person and to emotionally and to socially distance yourself from that person. Basically, if a person is acting or doing something that is against the will of the leader or against the rules or something along those lines, the congregation or the leader will decide that person needs to be separated. That person, you can't talk to them. They're poisonous, they're toxic, and they're going to corrupt you and the church. That's usually the reasoning behind it. Now, this is different than excommunication in that excommunication means that they want absolutely nothing to do with you forever, whereas shunning is a kind of a way to manipulate you. They still want you to be a part, more or less. They still kind of want you around because they want, people, they want your influence or your money or however it goes, but it's used to kind of, let me explain it like this. Okay. One, it can be used to modify your behavior, or two, it can be used to separate you to kind of discredit you. One, it can be used to kind of modify your behavior. Usually the leader or the congregation will try to encourage you or coerce you to be more like the others, try to get you to turn away from certain things or to act or to dress a certain way. If they see that you are kind of following the rules and then you don't, they'll shun you, they'll stop talking to you until you decide to be, a sheep instead of a goat, kind of a deal. Two, this is for more extreme cases. This is like the second stage, right? It's to remove you or to limit your influence on the rest of the congregation. Say you've been there for a while and, you've already made connections, you've established, relationships with people, and you're kind of on your way out, or you're seeing things and noticing things you don't like. Well, the leader and the congregation, other members will start, sowing seeds of discord, or they'll start talking about you behind your back, and they'll start shunning you. So it slowly begins to drain your influence. So when you do leave, or when they do excommunicate you, it'll hurt the other people less. It'll hurt the members of the congregation less. It's kind of like setting the stage for them to discredit you after you leave, because a lot of techniques that churches will use after you go is they'll start saying things like, well, he's just angry, or she's just bitter, and that's why they're saying things that they are. It's because, the devil's got a hold of them and they're in sin, and now, the devil's using them. Along those kinds of lines. So my personal experience with shunning goes along the lines of, I actually have two big examples of this. One time there's this brother who left the church, him and his family, but they were very sweet and they were very kind people. Like, even to this day, I still talk to him and he's very sweet still. But one time what happened is that the Niners went to the Super Bowl. This was a few years ago. You can probably pinpoint the year, right? And so he invited me to go watch the Super Bowl at his house because I'm a Niners fan. He's a Niners fan, right? So I was going to go, and I'd already made up my mind, yeah, I'm going to go. But then when the pastor got wind that he was inviting people just a handful of people. It was myself, my brother-in-law, and I think it was one other person. And so when my brother-in-law called up the pastor to get permission to go, the pastor immediately called me and he chewed me out saying, this guy is a bad influence on you. He's a bad influence on the church. His family tried to split the church. And he just said a bunch of horrible things about this guy that were both not true and just were hypocritical on his part, because this leader, and here's the part that gets me to this day is that even though he would say these horrible things about the people that had left the church, and even though the members of the church were supposed to shun those people, when he saw those same people in public, he would be warm and he would be friendly, and he would say so many kind and positive things about him and his family. But then as soon as they left, he would turn around and he would just say the most horrible things. And if you were found to be talking to them, you would get chewed out. So the moral of that story is, if you're in a place where they kind of nudge you to shun people, to stop talking to people because they've left the ministry, or because, you know, they're not following the rules, make that a red flag for you, that that is a toxic place and a place where you should go. Maybe you're watching this video because somebody else has watched it and they're trying to get you to watch it to kind of see those red flags. But if you are put in a place where you have to take your friendship and your relationship with people and cut them off just because they don't believe in the same doctrine, because they leave the church, or because of, you know, reasons like that, you have to do some introspection and see, am I being manipulated? Am I being controlled? Is this the way things are normally supposed to go? Okay, but that's kind of where I'm going to end for today. You guys have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you next week.